Okay, this part two. Okay, like I said, if the white male was to take it upon himself to shut off all the different opportunities and subsidies that he have granted to the so-called African American woman here in this country they call the United States of America, like I said, she would be up shit creek. But she wants to sit back and pretend as though it's because of her educational background or because of her will to go and seek a so-called higher education up under this Eurocentric thought process, then that makes her greater than her own black males. But that's what she mistaken at. Also, she thinks that because the so-called African American male has been written out of the economic blueprint of this country we call the United States of America, then therefore it renders him irrelevant in all cases and all causes. That's another place she mistaken at. But see, one thing I can say, and I think I can say this of surety, is that if any nation of people, whether it be the male gender or the female gender of that nation, was subjected to the harsh and cruel and unusual punishment, which is the treatment that we as so-called African American males have been put through here in this country, they would have been extinct by now. And I think I can almost say that with surety. They would have been extinct by now. So with saying this, it should come as no surprise that the so-called African American male has to be the most strongest willed, spiritually and physically equipped individual walking the planet Earth today. See, because I could say this right here from what I know and what I see. The Caucasian male, if he just went through half of what the so-called African American male has been subjected to go through, he would not only become a suicidal, homicidal maniac, in which he already is anyway coming out the womb, that's just in his nature, but not only would he resort to those type of measures, but everywhere you look, it would be war in the streets, because he cannot accept, let alone take, that kind of oppression. The same oppression that he dishes out on the so-called African American male, he cannot take that kind of oppression. He will become suicidal, which will result in him becoming homicidal, because that would be the only way that he would be able to act out what he's feeling due to the oppression that he's under. And I think when I speak for the white male, I think I speak for all the nations of males. They couldn't take it. They would have been extincted by now. So just to show you, the so-called African American male, he's the strongest individual walking the planet Earth. Only difference is he does not have the resources that the rest of the nations have at his fingertips and at his disposal to do with what he choose to do with it, when he choose to do with it, and how he choose to do with it. So he got to make something out of nothing. Did you hear what I said? I said he has to make something out of nothing. Okay, and let me draw a fine line right here when I say what I'm saying. I'm not talking about your Uncle Tom. I'm not talking about your step and fetch it. I'm not talking about your happy everyday smiling, showing all the whites in his mouth, back slapping, tap dancing. Let's all just get along Negro that has been grafted up in the image and the likeness of the white male. I'm not talking about that so-called African American. I'm talking about the African American so-called male who has been put through continuous oppression, and someone without a spiritual outlook wouldn't be able to see no way out. I'm talking about that so-called African American male. Him, the mass. I'm talking about the masses. Like I said, I'm not talking about the Uncle Toms. I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm not talking about the Boule members. I'm not talking about the Greek organization members. I'm not talking about none of these individuals who done so greatly integrated into this society. I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about the black male who's being oppressed out here. That's who I'm talking about. But what I want to say is this right here. The so-called African American female, your days is numbered. And the reason I say your days is numbered is because your counterpart days is numbered. His reign of terror, his reign of oppression, his reign of murder, his reign of rape, his reign of robbery, his reign of exploitation is just about up. So that means his power is about to come to an end here in the planet. And if you ever heard the saying, the bottom will rise to the top and the top will go to the bottom, get ready for it, because that's what's about to take place. And when it takes place, you so-called African American, so-called educated, independent women of the new millennium do not, and I repeat, do not come running back talking about we're sorry. We didn't mean to do y'all the way we did. We didn't mean to side up with the white male against you all. We didn't mean to inflict the same, if not worse, oppression on you when the white male was in power. Because right about that time, the real and the true so-called African American males will not be trying to hear any parts of that statement that you're going to try to make, because it'll be irrelevant at that time. So what I'm saying is this right here. You can sit up and act like you better than the so-called African American male all you want to. You can side with the white male all you want to. But just be willing to accept the same repercussion that the white male will have to accept once his reign is over. All right, I'm going to part 3.